Greetings, race fans, and welcome to Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Racing on SMB. J.R. Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner, Kenan Miller, and tonight's producer, Joshua Wilkie. Tonight's round 9 of SRG F4 action leaves Australia and returns to Japan and the Fuji circuit. Opened in 1965, Fuji is approaching its 60th anniversary, and in that time has hosted the Formula 1 Japanese Grand Prix 4 times and is current host of the World Endurance Championship, GT World Challenge Asia, Super GT, Super Formula, and many others. Today's configuration, which opened in 2005, is 4.6 clicks, 2.8 miles, tragically 16 corners. Not a fan of that final chicane, but I digress. Current lap record of 118.426 was set by Felipe Massa in a Ferrari F1 car back in 2008. So Kenan, what a contrast we have this week. The high curbs and go-kart like feel of some of those Aussie tracks are in the rear view, and these drivers are staring down the longest straight on the calendar, 1.5 kilometers. What are you expecting today?
I'm expecting quite an interesting race, JR. I think we've been to this track once earlier, the third race of the season. A lot of the drivers now are a little more familiar with it than they were when they first arrived here to week 3, and I think they're going to find probably a very similar task. It's always kind of the eerie, foggy weather when you go to Fuji. Track's really slick. It's a very cold track, high humidity, and I think it's going to put up an interesting test just like it did the first time around.
Yeah, and if I recall, last time the draft certainly played a big role here, and this is one of those tracks where, precision is really important. We always talk about these F4 cars being momentum cars, and you got to be patient on the throttle, but not too patient, right? You got to put the wood down at the earliest possible moment, but if you put it down too early, we can definitely see these cars loop, and they are facing some low-speed corners here. As we're on board right now with Daniel Bujak. Here's one of those low-speed corners, that critical left-hander onto that back section. This doesn't look straight, but it effectively is a straight. You're running flat out through the gears, and we'll stay with Bujak here as we enter my favorite part of this course, the 10, 11, and 12 chicane. Oh, wait a minute. No chicane. Hallelujah. Look at that. They went right by it. Oh, my goodness. That makes me super stoked. And we'll stick with Bujak a little bit longer. We're going to go through 14 and 15. Very difficult uphill off camber right here. We saw some spins here last time we were here at Fuji. And here is the critical corner on the track. You got to diamond this off, get on the power as early as possible for that long kilometer and a half blast down to turn one.
Yeah, you're definitely going to see a lot of the action going into turn one. It's by far the longest straightaway and the best opportunity for the draft to really work. Getting through the rest of the entire lap is very much a very flowing, in an awkward way type of lap. It is nicer not having the chicane. I think we saw most of the problems last time we were here at the chicane, but it's still very awkward flowing. The way you're going to make a pass on the backstretch of this track is having to take an outside offline and hope that the car still sticks.
Yeah, and we did see some fantastic stuff in turn one. And, these cars are a little smaller, a little more nimble, and there are a million lines down there in turn one. And so when we start to see those contested entries down into turn one, we see some really interesting stuff. And on a lot of occasions, Ken and I recall last time we were here, it looked like the pass was made on the inside, but a little over and under move there, and the defending driver managed to get to that turn three Coca-Cola curve before the attacker. So very interesting stuff there, and you could tell from watching that who had mastered that move. And looking down trying to remember who it was who was doing that over and over again last time. I want to say it was Poborji, but I'm just guessing. Yeah, super interesting, that first combination of corners. It really can look like you've got the pass made on the inside, but you're seriously exposed to an over and under move in that dash to turn three, and that fast, long right-hander, kind of reminiscent of the carousel at Road America and a few other similar places. And speaking of the carousel, tire wear could come into this. Certainly tire management. We're going to be riding some understeer in a few spots. You see a little bit right here, those front tires howling over that little rise off camber corner. And sitting right now with, can't tell who we're with, maybe Van Wagner, as he's getting on the throttle and heading down that pit straight.
Yeah, it's going to make for an interesting race. I remember the last time we were here, this was definitely a Stephen Case dominated race. And now that we've had the drop weeks implemented into the points, it looks like the 2 weeks where he sort of fell off by not being able to do the race, he's right back there in second place in points. And this was a track he just absolutely dominated. I forget the distance he won by, but it had to have been a good 15 to 20 seconds. So lap times right now are all covered pretty good. It's about half a second covering the top four drivers, and I think we're going to see a little more challenge for him this week than we did week 3.
Yeah, and a good point about Case. And as I mentioned in the opener, we just got out of a bunch of fairly short courses over there in Australia. And in those shorter courses, back markers became an issue in every one of those short track races. And Fuji pretty long, and we may not see back markers influencing the outcome as we did so much when we were down under. So we may indeed see Case drive off here. And taking a look at my timing tower right now, looks like bang, wow, I just wished for it and there it was. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, Vicroy hanging around there, about 1/10 off of Case. Poborji about 10th and a half off of Case, and Poborji always hanging around there. And you'll recall Kenan sitting right now in P8 and in P3 in Inter 1 class, designated by the orange there on our timing tower. Chris Wang was hanging around and hanging around and hanging around those podium positions throughout the entire race last time we were here at Fuji. I thought he might have a crack at a podium, but the people in front of him kept it clean, but he was right there the whole time. So I'm looking for him to throw down the gauntlet and work his way up to the top of his class.
Yeah, he's had a really rough last 2 weeks, actually, coming off 13th last week and 8th the week before. I think this could be a race where he could really turn it around. He did finish 5th place overall when we were at Fuji last time, so I do think this is an opportunity. He's looking okay on the timing boards right now, running 8th. the 138.815, and it's a good chance for him to turn it back around and finish off the season strong.
Yeah, and certainly where he's sitting right now is nothing to shake a stick at. He's got Velasco and Mikovits, a couple of pros behind him, and a couple of folks from his own class behind him as well. So Wang getting off to a pretty good start, and we'll keep an eye on him, as I said, in qualifying. And folks, if you're just joining us here for the first time, I want to give a shout out to Sim Racers Group, who's putting this event on, and mention that they have an actual brick and mortar sim racing facility on the east side of San Jose. So if you are in the Bay Area, you might want to stop by and visit if you've been thinking about getting into sim racing, or you want to drive a quality rig and see how it's different from your old Logitech bolted to your office table. Stop by and check out Sim Racers Group. And as we watch this race right now, there are probably somewhere between 8 and 10 of the drivers that you're going to see competing here on Slow Motion Broadcasting are sitting there right now at the Sim Racers Group facility in San Jose. And I almost drove over there when I was in Laguna Seca last weekend, but couldn't bring myself to be 3 more hours in the car to make that happen. But if you are in the area, go check it out. It's a bunch of friendly guys, and I can't imagine how fun it is to sit in a row of a bunch of other nerds racing when you can throw stuff at each other, make fun of each other with it earshot. So shout out to them. And one other quick thing, this is a developmental league, and as we mentioned every week, no damage here. So the point of this is learning, camaraderie, and track time. So if you bend up these F4s in a public server race, you're going to be on the flatbed back to the pits, but not here. If there's any damage that happens, it will be fixed, and the cars will keep rolling because they want these drivers to get experience, get the seat time, and it's a fantastic program they're running there.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. We saw it just last week. It affects a lot of people in the impact of time when you do have issues on the road, but have a 20-minute race be done potentially on lap 1 due to damage, it's just not getting anybody the track time, the lap times that they're needing. I was actually, right before we cut over to looking at the pit lane there, it looks like Mikowitz is finally starting to run a good lap. He's been sitting really low on the board. He's only tried 8 lap attempts so far in this practice session, so I'm interested to see where our points leader is going to be able to do in this practice session leading up to qualifying. Time is certainly running out, so I think he wants to get a good lap in before then.
Yeah, and we're seeing folks rack up a few off tracks here, and there are a couple of spots where you're flirting with the boundary and trying to extend your exit in a couple of spots and cut the corner in a couple of others, and catching some people out, and that may be why we're seeing some laps invalidated and seeing some of the faster drivers not as where we would expect them here as practice winds down. About 90 seconds left in practice, and then we will proceed to a 15-minute open qualifier. And let's just take a quick lap here with Mikovits. And Ken, why don't you talk us through a lap of Fuji?
As we're going to get all the way to high gear going down the front stretch, it feels like it's an eternity, but as a driver, no matter how many laps or races, this is your time. You can start to think about what you did wrong, how to refocus yourself, get ready for a hard braking session into turn 1. You can actually look at your mirrors for a moment, assess what kind of distance you have. So it just keeps going forever and ever. Sometimes you wonder if it'll ever end, and then we're going to get on the brakes very hard. It's going to be a very hard right. You've got to get all the way to that pylon. You want to use every bit of the track you can. It's one of the tracks that's actually outlined with grass as opposed to pavement, so utilizing every bit you can, leading right up into another hard braking left-hander, and this is where the track starts to get a little flowy. It's going to be a little off camber. You've got to stick it to the right, and you're going to hold it to the right. You don't have enough time to get back to the left to carry as much speed as you can into what's going to be the first downhill left-hander. See a late brake, miss the apex, and you see just how easy it is. The rear end just wants to go away. You're turning into a corner. It's trying to toss you out. Now we get into the carousel. It's very similar to Road America, but it is flat. You're going to stay all the way around as much of an arc as you can. Build the speed up. You've got a really long run. We don't have to worry about the chicane coming up. We'll take our slight medium right. You want to use all the grass, not that much grass. That's going to invalidate your lap time come qualifying. And you see just how difficult the rear end is as we have a little contact with Mikowitz into the 3 car there. It looks like that was Igor Gru was off track a little bit, and that was quite a knock. So we'll end the lap there, but that lap's quite a test to why Mikowitz didn't have a great qualifying time and or a good practice time, and just how challenging it will be for the qualifying coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And without that chicane, that turn 10 becomes a lot faster. And that uh, exit there where you saw the AstroTurf becomes a trap for offs. You can run on that partially, but definitely Mikovic's 4 wheels into the green there. That lap wouldn't have counted even if you hadn't had that collision. So here we go, open qualifying. And I say this every week, I love open qualifying. Some people complain about it because they imagine themselves a prima donna where the track is cleared for just for them to do qualifying, but it don't happen in real life, and it don't happen here in Sim Racers Group Formula 4. So we are going to have open qualifying. It adds another layer of strategy. It adds a potential to work together with a friend or teammate to get a draft going on that front straight, and just kind of add some new interesting variables that make the qualifying a little more meaningful.
Yeah, we see it every week. It seems like we talk about the open qualifying, and we watch drivers challenge with it every week, whether they're not in the right line, they don't get as good of a draft as someone else. Even on a great lap, when you run into traffic ahead of you, it'll ruin your entire lap. This track is going to be very important because that front stretch drafting is going to be worth several tenths to your lap time. So we'll see how people kind of work together. I'd expect the inner aliens to work together, the inner ones, the inner twos, all the same. Find somebody that you run a very similar lap time to and see if you can't both string something off, maybe a little switch back and forth. We did see it last time we were here for a qualifying session. Nobody brought it back in and put on fresh tires at the end. A lot of drivers turned their hot laps and kept wearing on the tires. So I don't know if that's just a lightness to the car, or whether within 15 minutes it's still only reaching the peak to the rubber. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of strategies unfold.
Yeah, it's a pretty long course to add an extra outlap. So I don't have a high degree of familiarity with these cars, so I can't say for sure, but I think I would probably lean towards staying out. And my goodness, look at that traffic. And maybe Josh can show us our overlay that shows where the cars are on track. It kind of looks kind of like everybody just went pouring out of the pits together. They probably had an opportunity here at Fuji to take a breath and come out in clean air, but it is a traffic jam in Japan right now. And I guess it can be helpful if you get a draft at the right time, but can be harmful if somebody holds you up. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess.
Yeah, we see a lot of clumping so far. Give it 2 or 3 laps, maybe certain groups that are faster than others will start to make a little bit of a breakaway and create some separation. But I'm pretty sure pit road's empty right now. I think every car that will be racing today is on the road. So we'll see them pop up on the track here in just a moment and show you just how full the entire course is. And there's Paborgi stopped already. I don't know if he had an issue or whether he was maybe trying to build a gap on the front straightaway.
Yeah, that looks like Paborgi is trying to create some space there, immediately frustrated by the traffic, and that may be key here. Although I recall, I keep talking about last time we were here, but it was such a fantastic race. I recall that one of the alien drivers kind of got lucky, caught the draft at the right time, and maybe it was Case, and ended up with about a 2-second advantage on qualifying. So it definitely can happen. It seems a little more likely with the broad spectrum of skill that we have out here with the 3 different run groups, that traffic might get in your way than getting lucky and getting a good draft. But, anything is possible, and we will keep an eye on it. The laps coming in now. We got a couple Inter 2 drivers with laps in the high 38s, 39s. Obviously, that's going to drop. Our only alien with a lap time right now is Velasco with a low 139. So we will be taking some big bites out of those times as we proceed. 4 minutes so far, so 11 minutes left to make something happen here in quali.
Yeah, I think they're looking at probably another second worth of time possibly out there. They're 7/10 faster or behind what they ran in practice. So I could see them with the draft and getting a bigger pack out there, easily breaking into a 137 possibly to grab the pole.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking a look at Paborgi now, and was he able to make something happen? He definitely created some space for himself, but he was on the front straight when he was slowed. So this may be his hot lap here in that previous lap, a tire warmer. and yeah, 153.5. So he slowed down to make some space, and this is going to be the heater that he was working towards. So we'll keep an eye on Poborji. He is always up close to the front, and he's going to be the guy sniffing around the back of Stephen Case, presuming that Case performs as he did last time we were here. Oh, and that is a little wide. That may be a one-off. So my goodness, Poborji might have killed that lap right there. And there are a couple of off-track traps here. That was one of them right there, and the other one we're going to see in just a second is off of turn 10, off of this medium length back straightaway here. But the acceleration is starting now. We're running that F4 car through the gears, and here we go. Turn 10, a little brush on the brakes. Kiss the inside curb, use as much as he can, so he's safe there. But yeah, I think he already killed that lap, Kenan, going wide on the approach to the carousel.
Yeah, it's a storyline we've seen before with Poborji, that he likes to emphasize getting as much as he can with the width of the racetrack, and it can come back to bite him. He's still got plenty of time to recover and get himself a clean lap here, but that's kind of the name of his game. He's not one that is too shy of trying to get every ounce of that car that he can.
And here's Poborji coming back onto the front straight. We'll see if he does register a time, and he may not. And actually, come to think of it, Ken, he may not care. I think it probably takes at least 2 laps to get the heat in the tires in these things. They're fairly light, don't have a lot of power. So you may need to put down a couple of heaters to get the tires in their optimal operating range. And yeah, no lap time for Poborji. He's still sitting on that 153.5 that we saw from before. So he's still waiting for his heater. And my gosh, almost 7 minutes in right now. We got Tyrone De Silva up top with a 138.6. The first alien is Vicroy with a 138.8. Adam Thompson about a tenth and a half behind him. So we're really not getting into the area we were expecting for qualifying here. And I got to say, everybody rushing out onto the course together may have been an error. And if anybody is going to take advantage of that, it's going to be Poborji. So we'll be keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think the one thing he really gave up not getting a good second lap is he's definitely starting to catch some traffic up ahead of him. So whether it plays a factor or not in this coming lap, we'll have to see when he comes across the front stretch. But he's definitely one of the quicker guys on the circuit, so every lap he gets with clean air, he's only probably closing a gap to other cars and cars coming back out off of pit lane. So it'll definitely be one to watch. I haven't seen his time hit the board yet. Tyrone De Silva with the 138.607, that's kind of surprising to me. He's sort of in line with what he ran in practice, albeit he certainly was not as high on the leaderboard during the practice session. So we'll have to see whether that sticks or if we get some fast times actually coming in.
Yeah, replay there, a little lawn mowing there. Not sure what is going on there. And bang, there is Poborji, who makes it work. He created space for himself, got some clean air, and he says he doesn't need a draft, Ken, and he's going to throw down a 138.59, and that will put him on the provincial pole. And speaking of our frequent flyers, Stephen Case, my timing tower indicates that he's on the track and running, but still no time out of him. So be interesting to see what kind of gauntlet he is going to throw down here. Qualifying session is already over halfway complete, and right now, as you see there on our SMB timing tower, it is Poborji from De Silva from Snyder. De Silva and Snyder 1 and 2 in inner one, and then Mikovits and Vickeroy, that's 2 and 3 in Alien. You see Josh Corwin there pop up ahead of Mikovits and Vickeroy, so he's 4th overall and 3rd in class. Velasco lingering down there. I told you Chris Wang had a good showing here last time. He's sitting in P8 right now, and these times are going to start to solidify, I would hope, within the next couple laps. And why Case doesn't have a time yet is a mystery.
Yeah, we're riding along with Stephen Case right now. It looks like he will put a time right here, so we'll see what it goes with. It is very surprising to see 3 inner 1 drivers ahead of Mikowicz, Vicroy, and Velasco. I would expect they have to have a better time coming in soon. We'll have to see traffic pulls down low for Stephen Case, and there it is. That's 3rd on the board, a 138.642, and the traffic gets out of the way. He may get another good open flying lap. So we're starting to see some of the alien drivers start to show at the top of the board, as it always seems to happen near the end of these qualifying sessions.
Yeah, and interesting stuff, and I don't want to wait too long, and because at any time there could be a spinner in front of you, or you hit traffic, or make a little mistake. And here's one of those spots right here. You can run just a little bit wide, too far into the green, and that will invalidate your lap. And that's a place where you really kind of have to flirt with the edge of the track boundaries. Sitting right now with Hyde on their qualifying lap, and good-looking color combination there, as you see Hyde coming onto that back straight, heading down into turn 10. And we'll see what they do with this tough right-hander. I want to set up left, smooch the curb on the inside, let the car drift outside. Pretty good work there. And very tough section right here. So much off-camber stuff. This little rise right here, very difficult. But the toughest part of the course, I think, is right here. Having to brake down and turn across that little rise in the track right there. It is off camber, and you have to jump right back over to get yourself set up for this critical corner. And commentator's curse right there. You saw that driver fail to get a good exit out of that final corner, and that is going to blow your lap on this track every time.
Yeah, and I didn't want to interrupt, but Stephen Case just absolutely threw a blitz of a lap down. Goes right to the top of the board with a 138.267. I was actually getting ready just to mention Skylar Vickroy taking over second, and then we see Paborgi has now taken over Vickroy for second. So the alien drivers are now starting to mix it up. We're seeing the fast times come in. Stephen Case just absolutely had a wonderfully clean, clear lap. It was quite an incredible one to watch it from the press booth. I can't believe he's almost 2/10 quicker than second right now.
Yeah, Case kind of teasing us there and saving that one. And no surprise, though, the Case is at the top of the order, over 2/10 ahead of Paborgi sitting in P2. Now our aliens, Case, Paborgi, and Vickroy are blocking out the provincial podium there in terms of qualifying position. P4 is De Silva, P1 in his class. And things are jumping around again. Oh, that is Josh Corwin, who has sneaked up into P2 and P1 in his class of Inter 2, and a little bit of a kerfuffle there, man. You don't like to see contact in these qualifying laps. We are running out of time right now, Kenan, and you don't want to be that guy that makes an error in front of somebody else and tanks their lap.
No, you certainly don't. At this point, you'd have to be out on the track if you're expecting to put any sort of time in. And I think you have kind of seen where the different speeds of different drivers has started to level out as we watch how Diego Posada gets loose there. That's going to scrap his time. He's having a hard run, only 21st right now in the qualifying session. But any little mistake, it's just going to hurt you for so much at this track. It's so long. It's such a long lap compared to so many of the shorter tracks we've just been to. You really just don't have the time to risk a mistake.
And Corwin having a couple of races. I wasn't around for Oran Park, but the previous track, I think, weren't we at Phillip Island before that? And Corwin had a hell of a drive there. Who can forget that face in his profile picture that we have here on our SDK timing software? But Corwin showing up again here, and if he keeps putting down performances like this, he may not have that orange mark next to his name for long. They've got some plans here at Sim Racers Group to push some of these faster guys into F3 and leave these F4 races for a developmental league, and Corwin may be on that list.
Yeah, Joshua Corwin, he is just the in-class winner 2 weeks ago at Motegi. He's had a really good run. That's why he's sitting atop the points. He's not had to do anything too fancy, but he's strung together in multiple seconds and gotten himself one win. He's definitely one that's put a lot of competition to the aliens on the leaderboard. He's kind of one of those front runners that is kind of running out of his class right now.
Oh my goodness, Kenan, and look at Case has thrown down another heater, 138.155. He's tickling the 137s. We may see it happen here as the timing clock winds down, and of course we see it every week. That's not a strict time limit, so if you are past start finish when that clock hits zero, it'll extend the qualifying time. So we usually see 15-16 minute qualifying sessions, but Case absolutely throwing down a heater. He had some drivers close behind him before, And now he has just kind of shown that there's no one that is going to be close to him at Fuji. He is the master of this place, riding along now with Lloyd Conway, inner 2 class driver through this tough left-hander. A little smooch on that beautiful Lewis Hamilton Mercedes liveried F4 car in front of him. Let's see if he gets a good exit out of this last corner. He nailed it perfectly. He lays on the power, and he is going to get a tow right here and see if he's able to move up out of his P17.
Yeah, you can see on the gearbox 5th gear, he's almost braking 130 miles an hour coming to one. Has to make a move to avoid the car in front of him too, so that should put quite a good lap. And I'll get him up into the top 15. That's very respectable. No, he's definitely been learning a lot, and we've watched him progress throughout the season. That's going to be probably one of his better starts so far this season. So I know the team will be happy when he pulls back in and gets himself ready for the race with that lap. Stephen Case, on the other hand, is just in another class of his own at Fuji. We've been here before and watched it. I think we might be due to do it again here in a moment.
Yeah, and as I said, without this track is so long, traffic probably not going to play a role, and there is potential for Case to drive away to the tune of 5, 6, 7 seconds, as we have seen him do before. And qualifying winding down now. There may be a couple of cars out there. Looks like Case is still running, as is Mikovits. Mikovits might want to take a swing at Case, so he's got a half a second gap in front of him if he's going to touch that. And we're going to ride along with Mikovits right now. And nope, that is that. And Mikovits gets camera shy right there, goes wide, and that is a 1X, and that qualifying lap is over. And looks like Vase is our last driver on deck, and he has parked it, just waiting for Dan Clark to pull off. And that is going to do it for qualifying. So eventful qualifying there. A couple of our fast drivers toying with us there, particularly Stephen Case, and a couple of our inner 1 drivers showing their stuff. I'm looking at you, Josh Corwin, and also Adam Thompson, with the likes of Borgi, Vicroy, and Mikovits behind them. Those guys are no slouches. So tip of the hat to Corwin and Thompson for putting themselves up in those podium positions in qualifying. So we're going to have the qualifying order for you here in just a moment. But yeah, pretty good stuff here so far, Kenan.
Yeah, we've definitely had a little bit more of a surprise than I think we expected for a second coming to a track for the first time this season. We're actually at a repeat track, and it surprised to see the inner 1s up there. I think Stephen Case may be the class of the field, but the race for the first 2 steps on the podium, there's 7 or 8 drivers that we'll probably be talking about all race long on who could get those final 2 positions at the podium.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Case has got to be liking what he's seeing around and behind him with Corwin and Thompson, a buffer between him and Paborgi. He's really got to like his possibility of driving away here. But let me fly through this opening grid for you. There's Case on pole next to Corwin, Thompson next to Paborgi in row 2. It's going to be Vicroy next to Mikovits there in 5 and 6. De Silva will line up next to Velasco in row 4. Snyder next to Bujak. Christopher Wang next to Thomas Brashear. And my apologies, I'm skipping the who's first in class, but you can see the colors there on your screen. 13 and 14, Brinsky and Cardenas. Posada next to Conway in 15 and 16. Van Wagner next to Josh Leslie in 17 and 18. Duvall next to Ganesh, 19 and 20. Bays next to Jason Kocher in 21 and 22. Kocher struggling a little bit here in qualifying. Swanbeck next to Jose Navas in 23 and 24. And yes, there are more. It was a big grid here, folks. Let's see. It's Suresh Kumar next to Han in 25 and 26. Samudio next to Embriat Hyde in 27 and 28. Hagen next to Dan Clark in 29 and 30. And Neil Day next to Adrian Lopez there in the back row. And I'm not seeing those last 2 drivers might not have put a time down. So it's this track is challenging, and going to be challenging for Josh, our producer, today with that fog. I'm looking deep into about a half-drunk latte right now, and I think there are some race cars down there. I'm not entirely sure. And through the mist there, that is Stephen Case in the red car to your right. So he is going to have the outside entry into turn 1, but he is a nose ahead of Corwin sitting in P2. and hopefully we'll get a look at Corwin's mug before this one's over. That's always entertaining. And we are green. Pace gets away very clean. It's pace from Corwin, from Adam Thompson, from Pavorji, from Vic Roy. No movement in the top 5 so far. Everybody looking good. Pace will cover the inside. Oh my goodness, I spoke too soon. A kerfuffle already in the top 5. There's some wheel banging there. Everybody's still rolling about halfway down. I'm going to say about P8, P9. There's some contact and some cars off. We'll try to sort that out for you. But right now it's Pace from Thompson, from Corwin, from Pavorji, from Mikovits. And look at Stephen Case Cannon already. 0.7 of a second, and he is going to drive away, I predict.
Yeah, Stephen Case didn't have the greatest start. Corwin was right there. You saw Case had to really push the inside line going into turn 1, but he is definitely starting to set sail already as we've gotten through the first 6-7 corners. So was a little shaky at the front with some braking, but I think everybody got through pretty clean, no real contact. So we'll see how it all kind of shakes out through the rest of the field.
My goodness, and we saw Borgi taking a big dive at Corwin there. He wants those inner one drivers behind him, but Corwin survives. Not only survives, but Borgi falls back behind Mikovits, and now those two are dicing, and I show Borgi back ahead of Mikovits. So Borgi is feeling racy right now and feeling impatient. He wants to get past those inner one drivers and get up with Case before it's too late, because he knows what happened last time we were here. Case driving away. He has any chance of hanging in there. He has got to get through this traffic and put himself in position.
Yeah, Alex Velasco going 3 wide right now. He didn't have the greatest qualifying run, but everybody in the Alien group right now is definitely showing some aggressiveness to get by the inner one drivers and maybe see if they can put together something for Stephen Case up front. This will be an interesting move going into turn 1. Velasco on the outside. Everybody kind of breaks early, and they're going to fall in line. Velasco may be able to get him going into turn 3 as long as he can keep it there on the left side.
And yeah, riding along with Mikovits, looking back at Pavorji here, and Pavorji definitely feeling racy. He tried a tough move early on cold tires, didn't work out for him. Looked like he had Corwin, but he must have washed out, and Corwin got back by, and Mikovits as well. So Pavorji wants to make something happen here. These races, folks, are pretty short, about 20 minutes. So if you didn't do well in qualifying and you feel like you need to move up, you got to do it quick, and we're seeing that happen. As Kenan pointed out, these aliens are elbows out right now, and there is some contact. That is Samudio back in the back third of the grid. A little contact. You see some body parts flying, but of course no damage, so those cars will be back underway. But these F4 races can get a little bit rough and tumble. Here is your replay of 3 F4 cars. I know that because I am a professional broadcaster.
This is Samudio getting in Jose Navas, and thankfully it only cost Navas a couple of spots with the contact, and he's able to get going away pretty good. Like we mentioned, it is a damage-free series, so his car is back to 100% and full speed ahead. As we see another car's off right ahead, Chris Wang, Samudio is getting by. So there's a lot of cars off of everywhere. It's certainly being a learner series and trying to get some different levels of drivers all up to the same speed. The biggest thing we can highlight is mistakes. Finishing top and at the high end of the leaderboard, it all comes down to mistakes. Minimizing mistakes and the sacrifice for speed can go a long way, completing a good safe 20 laps, or 20 minutes, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, just keeping it clean. We've had driver after driver up here in the booth with us kind of expressing surprised where they finished, and it was just by being cautious, being aware of traffic around them and avoiding the problems, because as we said, there's a big mix of skill out here. There are some beginners out here. There's some guys who are pretty quick, and with that mix, there are bound to be incidents, and you got to have your head on a swivel and be ready to react so you don't get caught up in those. And keeping it clean, Kenan, as you said, a big part of success here in the Formula 4 series.
Yeah, riding along with Manish Shurshkamar, he had a little bit of trouble early in the race, went wide in a couple corners. He's found himself back in 19th. He's usually one of the front runners that we see in the from the inner 2 class. So we'll have to see if he kind of get things back together here. Only a few minutes into the race so far, and looks like maybe he spun around there.
Yeah, If you're not familiar with our timing tower over there, folks, just take a quick look at that interval listing on the right. So the white numbers are intervals greater than 1 second. The orange are half a second to a second, and the red are less than half a second. So when you see that again, you'll see how tight the competition is here, at least in Fuji. And there is a replay. And as I said, you want to get on the power as soon as possible, but if you get on it too soon, that is your reward. And yeah, there's that timing tower I was talking about, and look at all that red and yellow up there. These cars are very competitive, and keeping it close here. 5 minutes in, or 25% of the way through this one, and there are battles up and down the field, as there are every week, which is one of the things that makes it such a pleasure to call these, Ken.
Yeah, it is. And just looking at the top of the leaderboard, Adam Thompson, he's kind of held that 7/10 gap to leader Stephen Case pretty well. Mikowicz hasn't fallen off too much either so far. So I don't know, maybe Stephen Case is playing a little bit of tire management, trying to keep just a nice healthy lead. But we are seeing a little bit of a gain on for second and third, trying to get up to the lead.
Yeah, too right. And a tip of the hat to Corwin with Poborji all over him. You see that gap is down to about 2/10. And Poborji not playing around here. And Poborji is going to be right on his rear bumper. He might not even wait to the front straight. Does he try to stick it inside the final corner? And he does. He gets that move done. But gosh, Kenan, that is going to compromise both of their exit out of that critical corner. And now they're sitting ducks to Velasco, rapidly reeling them in from behind.
Yeah, and you see Corwin, he's gone back inside. So, and it looks like Corwin's pitted. I don't know what has occurred there, but I believe it was maybe side by side. And if they get caught up racing back and forth like that, that's only hurting them to the top four. So you can't get yourself caught up in too early of a fight back and forth. You just have to kind of accept where you are and try to do the most. Velasco gets shoved off the track by Poborji there, it looks like. So that may see some payback later when it comes to how aggressive we drive. Poborji's shown it since the green lights went off. He's not stopping for anything, and he's willing to take any open gap he gets.
Yeah, Poborji elbows out, and we talked about the lack of damage in this series, and it is a double-edged sword. It does provide seat time and keeps races from ending early when there are pileups, which we do occasionally see. But on the flip side of that, Poborji not shy at all there about throwing that F4 car into Velasco and sending him right off the track. And a hit like that has potential to damage the suspension on these things if you were running with damage on. So Poborji taking advantage of the lack of damage to maybe drive a little rougher than you would be able to on the public servers, Kenny.
Yeah, I think he's definitely playing a game of chicken with some of the drivers on how hard they're going to race into the corner. I think Corwin understood that he's having a really nice second place in class run regardless of where he is overall. So he's best to give it away, not get caught up in losing a lot of points in the overall battle to a out-of-class driver. It's definitely a lot of aggressiveness Poborji's shown so far. I think he's watched Mikowicz pull away. Adam Thompson still hanging on to that 6/10 gap, which has kind of got me shocked that we have an inner one driver hanging so close, keeping kind of Mikowicz and Poborji in their mirror.
Yeah, and we're watching Chris Wang there for a minute, and my goodness, I laid quite the commentator's curse on him. He's lost 8 positions. Not sure what happened there. Probably an off, or maybe that he's in that group that had contact at the beginning of the race, but now sitting in P19 and nearly DFLing it here and riding along with Wang now. Is this a replay, Josh, or is this live? All right, so that is Wang wanting to get by Suresh Kumar and claw his way back to his qualifying position. Didn't qualify quite as well as we were expecting, and is down was down 8, and that will put him down only 7. But he has got a mountain to climb. Look at De Silva ahead of him. That is a 13-second gap to climb up into. He's in P6 right now. That would put him in P5. So Wang's race not going the way he wanted to, and he's just in it for the practice at this point. And after his great performance last time at Fuji, this is not how he wanted this one to go.
Yeah, definitely not what he expected. He's definitely had a rough start to it. Hopefully he can find a win and maybe get himself 3 or 4 more spots. He's got a good little gaggle of cars just ahead of him, so it'll be quite interesting to see it. Maybe he can get it back, see what mistakes are made, but Definitely not what he wanted. And we've got Sarab Vase and another car both off. It looks like they've come into each other going into that turn 6, 7. And look at the replay here. Not quite sure what happened. Maybe they got a little bit hard and just took it in.
Yeah, a little bit of a dive there into that tough final section before the pit straight, and my goodness, there's that zone of danger that they talk about in racecraft, and how does the saying go? The zone of danger is your fault. Left the door open a little bit there, and said, "Oh, sure, I'll stick my F-4 car in there." Doink. I'm not the steward here. That's above my pay grade, but that a little bit optimistic there by Cardenas.
Yeah, I think Cardenas kind of wondered why he was a little slow off to the left. Maybe thought he was giving it to him. I don't think they actually knew they were there, though, and he turned in as if he wasn't there. So that's where that contact arose. Kind of an interesting call. We'll see from race control afterwards how they view that with the slow car off left, letting the other car by.
Yeah, we do have live stewarding here, so well, not live stewarding, but we do have incident reviews post-race. So any of those kind of penalties will be handed out before the next round. And I'm trying not to talk about the next round in the middle of this one, but pretty excited about that. But at the halfway point, beyond the halfway point, actually, these races go by so quickly. Up front, it is Case. Followed by Thompson, who is P1 in class, followed by Mikovits, Velasco, Poborji, Vicroy, Corwin, P2 in Inter 2, Snyder, P3 in Inter 2, and then we got Bujak, Inter 1, Bujak, our first Inter 2 driver in P9, Jason Kocher will round out your top 10, and you can see that there. But the interval, as Kenan said, staying pretty close up front. Thompson hanging with Case. Despite my prediction that Case was going to drive off, and maybe Case is just kind of minding that gap behind and taking it easy and trying not to rack up incidents on this track, which is quite easy to do. As we take a look at Thompson there, he's got the meat in an alien sandwich there. He's got about 6/10 ahead to Case and about 7/10 behind to Mikovits, and so far so good for him, unlike his fellow Inter 1 driver Josh Corwin, who has gotten pushed out of the way by a gang of aliens, including Mikovits, Poborji, Velasco, and Vicroy. So Corwin falling to P7, but he's probably still happy with that, Kenan. That is P2 in class.
Yeah, he's definitely had a pretty good race. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of there. I was trying to look at the point standings, but I may have missed his news and notes. This could possibly be Adam Thompson's first race with us in the SRG Formula 4 League, and he's definitely showing some speed. I do not see him listed in Inter 1 with any points or on the list at all, so he is definitely coming in quite hot. So
yeah, taking a look at Velasco. Velasco's going to try the inside of turn 1 with Poborji on the outside. Poborji got Vicroy towed behind him, and is going to kind of give up on this one. And watch Vicroy on the outside. I told you there's a way to make something happen on the outside when the inside is aggressively covered, and boom, there it is. Holy cow, what a move by Velasco. And I told you that aggressive defense into turn 1 was going to result in an over-under, and there it was. And my goodness, what a move by Velasco, and that cost Poborji as well, who lost a couple of spots in that transaction, and great driving really by all three. And here is a replay. Keep your eye on Velasco there. Whoop! Classic over-under, and he drives off from the two cars that, they were almost 3 white entering that one, Kenan, and he got the last lap that time.
Yeah, that was just a textbook drive. He knew Poborji didn't have the line. Poborji, he really didn't quite get it tight to the corner, a little over driving, and it ended up costing 2 positions to Vicroy and Velasco. So that's kind of set him back, and I think Poborji may be going right back towards Vicroy.
Yeah, as the fight goes on, we're taking a look at Vicroy now, and that is Poborji polishing his bumper in the red car, and Velasco, he's got Velasco behind him. So a lot of scrapping going on right there. You see those red intervals on our timing tower from P4 to P6, and Corwin sniffing around back there in the background as well, as we're going to head on to the pit straight again. And that draft going to work as you watch that gap dropping and dropping and dropping. And you got to wonder, hey, here's our first mover, Velasco. He said, yeah, you like that switchback I put down on the last lap. I'm going to show it to you again. And this time, oh my goodness, this time that's Poborgi is wise to it, covers off the inside and makes Velasco back out of it. So Velasco not able to repeat that, but he's still going to get the move of the night out of me from doing that on the last lap. That was sweet.
Yeah, JR, I've been just staring at the timing board right now. I think we may have a race for the lead coming up on the front stretch this lap. Adam Thompson was able to get it down to almost a 10th. He's sitting at 3/10 right now behind. He had it almost breaking within a 10th. He is right on the bumper of Case. It's just under 5 minutes to go. I think he's getting ready to make a move.
Wow, and wouldn't that be something? We talked about Case often getting track days at these bigger tracks where traffic doesn't play a role. Adam Thompson in his first race here in Sim Racers Group Formula 4 racing, and just possible, Kenan, that he was miscategorized as an Inter 1 driver, and he may have a red marker next to his name at the next race. But you're right, here they go onto the pit straight. That's Case from Thompson from Mikovits. All three of those cars with a 1 second spread with 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this one. And what is Thompson going to do? There's an argument to just stay with Case, hang with him, and wait until the last lap to try to make something happen. So we'll see what he chooses to do. Case will cover the inside. Thompson is going to go way out to the left, drive the normal racing line. You see him get past Case there. Case stops it down the inside, though, side by side through turn 1 and through turn 2. And Mikovits might be in the catbird seat here. Mikovits there waiting to pick up the pieces. You see him lurking around back there as Thompson and Case still side by side. And Thompson is going to push it through. My goodness. And Mikovits certainly had a good view of that. Wow.
Yeah, Thompson certainly sending a little wide there. Definitely had the off track to use in that situation. And Stephen Case peeking back inside. He kind of made Thompson not be able to use the entire corner there. Kind of worried whether he would take a full look or not. That's quite an aggressive move. And now Case falling back to third. Mikowitz goes by. So I think you're kind of finding out we've got maybe 2 or 3 laps left in the final 4 minutes of this race. So, and wow, Stephen Case having to get on the brakes really hard to avoid Mikowitz there. That's going to let Thompson be able to get quite a good breakaway out. We'll have to go back to the replay and see why it was such a hard break there. I don't know if he maybe lost control of the front end of the car, but certainly detrimental. And Mikowitz now second behind the leader, Adam Thompson.
Yeah, Case did not avoid Mikowitz. You're going to see contact here as Case has a run here. And watch Mikowitz in the blue car. Does he break early or what here? But I think you're going to see a little smooch. And we'll stay with this. Yeah, you see Mikowitz get off in the grass. That kills his drive out of that corner. And we will hang here. Oof. And there's a little bit of a hip check there. And is that followed? I thought for sure there was a little rear ender here somewhere. And maybe not. Maybe it was just that they got close there coming onto the front straight. But great racing up front. And I really thought this was going to be a walkaway for Case. And it is not. And Thompson, the newcomer, building a little bit of a gap there. It's got it up to half a second now. It's Thompson from Case from Mikovits up front, and a huge gap back to Vicroy, Velasco, and Poborgi, who are 6-7 seconds back now. As this one winds down, we're on the last minute here, and we could be seeing a white flag this time, depending on where we are on the course, and I'll let you know that as soon as I know. But Thompson certainly showing that he may be a pro candidate for our next round. As this one winds down.
We'll see just how well he handles the nerves being in the first race. He was up to a 1 second gap that's obviously been brought back down to 4/10 with Stephen Case. one advantage Case and Mikowitz have, they've been racing together all season, and I'm sure they both don't want to see Adam Thompson win this race his first time out here. So both the alien drivers may find a way to work together to at least give him a shot for his money in these final laps. There's Thomas Brashear goes off with some contact, I think.
Yeah, Brashear looked like he had position there and got his nose chopped off there. And we're going to see another replay here. Here is Hagan in the same area heading down the pit straight into turn 1. And we told you that there were going to be a lot of contested entries. And whoop, yeah, and pro tip now, if you start those front lockups, you can adjust your brake bias. Oh, my goodness. And look at Adam Thompson there. Well, I'm talking about the fineries of driving an F4 car. Thompson is just beating that thing to death, feeling the pressure from Case. And Case has an opportunity there, sticks it on the inside. Mikovits still hanging around, hoping to pick up the pieces. And I believe, Josh, tell me if I'm wrong, the white flag has got to be out at this point. We may be watching the last lap here as we're coming down into the back section here for the last time. And my goodness, some great racing up front here today as they passed my least favorite part of the track, that chicane. We're going to go into that tricky last section, and Case right now is going to need a mistake out of Adam Thompson on this difficult uphill left-hander right here. And Thompson, so far so good. He needs to jump over to his left, get himself a good setup onto that front straightaway, and Thompson, he is gone. Thompson is going to win this one, and Mikovits now sniffing around behind Case. Does he have enough time to make something happen before that start finish? It is a ways down the road here. So if Case holds that position, it's going to be close. And look at that interval ticking down. Oh my goodness. Look at that finish. 4/100th of a second there between Case and Mikovits as Thompson gets it done. And my goodness, what a drive by him. Enter 1 winner and overall winner. Case, Mikovits, and Vickeroy are your alien podium. Corwin hangs on for P2 in Inter 1. Justin Snyder will be P3, 9th overall. And looking at your Inter 2, look at Bujak all the way up there in P7. He's P1, followed by Conway and Posada in that class. So, woo, action-packed stuff here at Fuji. It's so great to get these cars off of those Australian go-kart tracks and get them out here where they can use that downforce and stretch their legs a little bit. What a fantastic show today, Kenan.
Oh, that was just an incredible race. Something we definitely weren't really preparing our fans for watching us on the SMB network for. We definitely thought this was a Stephen Case runaway. We'd already seen it once before. We expected to see it again the way practice and qualifying went. But Adam Thompson kind of out of nowhere found some speed from the green flag on, and he would manage to hang with them and turned it into quite a little fight there the entire race. That's definitely the first time we've had an Inter 1 driver, and probably next week an Inter Alien driver if I were to guess. But the first time we've had an Inter 1 driver actually win overall in one of these races, which is just quite a feat. And he was willing to use every ounce of track. We see him there. I mean, he was certainly getting some 1Xs and off tracks, which you obviously have a limit. You kind of know what you have to give. And it took kind of every ounce of that to defend Stephen Case and Mikowitz to hang on. He definitely got lucky. Stephen Case went over the curves in the last 3 or 4 corners. That's kind of what got him that little final gap, kind of took away Stephen Case's chance to make a run going to the checkered flag.
Yeah, great racecraft by Thompson there. And I'm not a league admin, but I'm telling you, this guy is going to be lining up with the pros next week. That was an epic drive by him. He bided his time, waited until there was a couple of laps left to make his move, kind of at the last possible opportunity, and held on, drove the wheels off that F4 car with Stephen Case all over him like the plastic on grandma's couch, hangs on for the victory. And hopefully we can get him in for an interview here. But holy moly, what a great show here. And maybe hopefully will inspire schedule selections for some faster tracks for these F4 cars, because they really shine in places like this. Fuji, of course, built as a Formula One track, and really let these cars stretch their legs and take advantage of that of the downforce. And my goodness, what a great race. And as we watch Thompson here blow the rear tires off of that F4 car and maybe pop his motor before this one's over, we will get that we'll get those results pulled up for you in just a second.
Yeah, you can tell he's excited. So you can tell he's just excited. He's not going to have a motor. He's not going to have a front end. He's going to have a really hard time taking this thing through in tech inspection. So hopefully they'll be a little gracious with him on his first win. But that's probably the most thrilling race we've had so far to the season. We're coming in now to the 3 more races to go to decide a SRG Formula 4 champion. And it's amazing all the different drivers we've seen. I'm curious if he's an in-house driver or not, as he's new to the series, so we don't have much information on that. But that is one for the books right there. That is a fantastic race.
Yeah, great stuff. And here are your results. There is Adam Thompson, Slow Motion Racing. A little suspicious name there. I'm going to have to Google that after the broadcast and try to figure out more about this Thompson character's background. But definitely put on a show today and showed that he may not have been qualified proper or classified properly driving away. And well, you know, I shouldn't say drive away, but he gave Case a fight and won it at the end, and we haven't really seen anybody capable of doing that so far this season. So hats off to Thompson, winning inner one and winning overall. Then it's Stephen Case, Mikovic, Vickeroy, and Paborgi. That is 1 through 4 in your inner aliens. Josh Corwin 6th overall, P2 in inner one. Bujak way up there, P1 in inner 2. Great drive by him. And there's Velasco in P8. Justin Snyder will round out your podium in inner 1, followed by De Silver, Jason Kocher. And then it's Lloyd Conway and Diego Posada rounding out your inner 2 podium. That brings us to P14, Swanbeck, Chris Wang. My apologies to him. I cursed the hell out of him, and you see the result right there. 7 positions down in P15. He'll be followed by Vase, Cardenas, Grinsky, Aaron Van Wagner, Josh Leslie will round out your top 20. Then it's Dan Clark, Embriette Hyde, Navis, Samudio, Suresh Kumar, Hun, Duval, and Brashear in 28. And one more little scrollio here, I believe. Yep, there it is. Tyler Hagan finished in P29. And then we had some people that got caught up in, had to have been multiple incidents. There's Ganesh, 9 laps down, followed by Day and Adrian Lopez, 13 laps down. Both of those guys in 31 and 32. So, my goodness, what a fantastic race today. We have a few people lingering around here. As I look outside the booth, looks like we have a couple people to speak to. And I am just going to go straight to P1 right now. And we are speaking with Adam Thompson, his first appearance in Sim Racers Group Formula 4. And Adam, my goodness, I don't know who you convinced to put you in inner 1 or how, but I think that yellow mark next to your name is going to be gone next week at Bathurst, and you're going to be running with the big dogs up front. You took the fight to Stephen Case and won, and withstood some relentless pressure at the end. So talk me through the last couple laps of that one.
Well, first of all, I didn't want to. I was just talking to them, so thanks for dragging me in here. I'll make this quick. JR, nice to finally meet you. I think this is the first time we might actually have talked, so nice to meet you, man. And Keenan as well. Nice to meet you, buddy. Good to see Joshua's got some okay people. I don't know about you. I'm sure Keenan's a good guy, JR, but probably not you. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. Just hung out behind Steven. Steven's obviously the fastest guy in this league. I just bought this car like a week ago to make the paints. So, but when you've got a 6-week-old baby and you've got all day to practice, big shout out to Jason Green for helping me out. He helped me get super duper fast in here, and it worked out. And yeah, the last couple laps, apologies to Steven there for running him a little bit wide into turn 1 on the defense, but turn 3 got a little bit sketchy, and then after that, when I saw them battling, it was all over.
Yeah, really good work there. And it looked to me like you were biding your time and picked a good time to strike, and then just kind of had to drive the wheels off to hold off Case at the end. So excellent racecraft, Adam. And congratulations on the win. Really great job. And congratulations on driving a sim while feeding your baby. I'm picturing you there with the child in the bottle and the paddle shifters working. So so great job there. And as we wrap up, Adam, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to? Don't forget your wife. Don't forget your wife. Don't forget your wife.
She's going to be the first one I shout out, letting me do this stupid stuff. It's not stupid. I freaking love it, and she knows it. If we ever get into a financial issue, she told me, she goes, "You're never selling your rig because it gets me away from her." So, yeah. So massive shout out to Sarah and baby girl Aspen. Huge shout out as well to Jason Kocher for letting me come into SRG. I was actually Inter 2, and then he saw my lap times in practice, and he promoted me to Inter 1. And now who knows where I'm going to be. But yeah, great group of guys over there at SRG, and I'm glad to be running with them. And lastly, Slow Motion Broadcasting, you guys. It's weird for me to be able to thank you guys now, Joshua. Josh, you're doing such a great job, man. Thank you so much for everything you've done by taking this over. Getting it to where it is, dude. There's absolutely no way SMB would have grown like this without you, Joshua. So yeah, huge, massive shout out to you. My thanks there are not enough thank yous.
All right. Well, Adam, thanks so much for stopping by. And I'm not sure if you're able to hear Josh. He is thanking you for your kind words and us as well. It is our pleasure to be here on Slow Motion Broadcasting and working with the great folks at Sim Racers Group. So until next week, have a great time with the new child, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
All right. All right. And speaking of Jason Kocher, we'll go ahead and bring him in. And Kenan, maybe you can get Jason's thoughts about how this one went. I note that Jason is the hard charger here tonight, up 11. So maybe you can find out how he did that.
Yeah, Jason, we had noted in qualifying his struggles, didn't quite have the fastest time. We know, talking to you just down in the pits and previously during practice, you're not totally a big fan of this track. It just doesn't quite fit your technique and expertise. But how did you feel you did with the race? You obviously were moving forward the entire time.
Yeah, it works some magic in the race. I guess I usually race better than I qualify. As I said, I've never spent the time to really work out the last 2/10, in the lateral load on the tires of this thing. So it does tend to ding me in the qualifying, but a lot of endurance experience. I was dodging bullets. I mean, I actually finished on 0x. So I'll pick up the bonus points for that. And yeah, it's just sort of a risk awareness. You kind of tend to know people in a league. If this guy is next to this guy, then they'll probably tangle. So you give it an extra couple of car lengths, and when they tangle, hopefully you get around. And that just worked out for me. I don't get a lot of practice time. The competitive nature of this league has come up so rapidly. It's a little bit shocking. I used to crush this league, and now I'm 12th. But I mean, it's fun. Friends are telling friends. It's popular. That's what it's all about. And yeah, just staying alive. There's a lot of that endurance mindset that comes into play when cooler heads prevail.
Yeah, I think that's actually something good to note, because while we talk about the shortness of the race and it's a 20-minute sprint, minimizing those mistakes is all hugely beneficial. That endurance mindset of not making a mistake plays off dividends even in only a 20-minute race, because there is no time to really make it up. And the field, it seems like every week we're watching new drivers come in and join the SRG family, and today may have been the biggest field. I think we had 32 drivers take the green. Would you just take a moment and kind of speak on where you've seen things grow? This is our second time going back to a track throughout the season. So what have you kind of noticed through the 6 weeks between then?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge compliment when friends tell friends. You're not going to ask your buddy to join a league that sucks, right? So I really appreciate that out of guys. And then the more people you get, I think, the cream starts to rise towards the top. At the end of this season, the 32-35 starts getting a little bit crazy. I mean, Fuji is decent size, but a lot of the other circuits on the Asia-Aussie region F-4 schedule ends up being a little bit close quarters. So at the end of this season, we're doing the big split, and Inter 1 and Inter Alien will be involuntarily graduated into F3. I'll go with them there, and that's damage on, and it's a little bit tougher car to drive. I find that my slightly cautious style lends itself. It's kind of like I should probably get into the Lotus 49 or something. It seems like the tougher the car is to drive, the better I do, not because I'm right on the ragged edge, but that staying alive just tends to pay more dividends. So yeah, I mean, like I said, huge compliment. I'm lining out the sort of coaching trees from the NFL style where, Daniel brought in Steven brought in Aaron brought in Lloyd, and that's the kind of thing that just makes the league grow like crazy. So I do appreciate that, and it's the best problem that we could possibly have. I think the repeat nature of the circuit with just a couple of corners changed on this lends itself to practice time. I mean, if you put in 5 hours on the previous configuration, maybe 2 more on this configuration, you're right up to speed. I'm working a 9 to 5. I'm managing a 100-person community, nights and weekends. Sometimes it gets a little bit tough to get the sim time in, but grateful to have it. Always grateful for the community and these guys. It's growing, and you guys are helping us do that. So stoked on that.
Yeah, and we've seen it all through the 9 weeks open in the season. We just got 3 weeks left, and it's just quite a change in the way we've watched drivers race around each other, the way you get more familiar with who the certain drivers are, having back and forth competition. So it's been a pleasure to have the opportunity to be in the booth and watch it grow. And who would you like to thank today? Anybody you'd like to give a good shout out to? Anybody special to mention?
Yeah, I mean, always the community. I don't know if you know this Adam Thompson guy. This guy, apparently he just jumped in and won or something. Like, we're going to have some words. That's not what we do here, but no, I kid. It's fun to have him here. And he was in the chat talking about paternal time off of work. So clearly he's got some hours in on this thing, but he better get that F3 ready to go, because he went from Inter 1 to Inter 2 to Inter 1 straight away. Then he beat the alien. Stephen Case was clamoring to make him Inter Alien, but it's such a close points championship up there. I don't want to insert somebody into that this late. He's Inter 1. Corwin has got a good run on the championship now. He'll probably win it anyway, and then we'll leave Case and Kalen to fight that out. So yeah, Adam and the whole SMB crew, I've really appreciated. He's chatting it up. I'm actually looking at some of the series going on there. I don't get enough sim time as it is, but if I get an opportunity to run one of those leagues, I'll always do that. So appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. We're growing, and really looking forward to the expansion of next season. Maybe I'll be in the broadcast booth on Tuesday nights for the F4 series, and then you can watch me go upside down on fire Wednesday nights in the F3 leagues. So yeah, looking forward to it. Lots of bright days ahead of us.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on for the interview. We've really enjoyed seeing everything grow, and we're excited to see what the Formula 3 league brings. And I think that's going to make the Inter 2 guys getting their own little highlight show. That's going to make quite a good Action Fest season as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, that was Jason Kotcher, who, as I said, moved up 11 positions to finish in P11, and I think that put him in about P5 in Inter 2. So great drive from him. And see who else we've got here. We have a packed green room here today, and I'm going to bring in Igor Grunsky. Igor, welcome to the commentary booth. Thanks for whoops and poof. He left. Okay. I'm not sure what happened
there. We'll chase him down.
Yeah, and well, I'll just go ahead and go to Lloyd Conway, and I'll congratulate him. Lloyd finished P12 overall and managed a podium P2 in Inter 2, moving up 4 positions from his qualifying position. So good job today, Lloyd. And I'm going to take a wild guess and guess that keeping the car clean and staying out of trouble was a big part of your success out there tonight.
Hello, big boy. Well, let's just talk about that for a minute, because sometimes people don't know how to use their brakes on turn 1 on lap 1, but that's okay. We don't discriminate, because despite qualifying P15, which I was very happy with, still managed to get P12, even though I was on the roof of my car, I'm pretty sure, at the start of that. But that was the only thing that, it was my shortfall, and I just had a steady pace throughout the remainder of the race, and did okay. I saw that Jason and Tyrone were battling for it towards the end, and I was right on the very last lap, just trying to get some draft, but it was too late. But I don't think I could have hung with those guys anyway. So I'm happy with my result, nevertheless.
Well, quite a drive, and perfectly timed. Our producer Josh gave us the slow motion replay of the kerfuffle that you were referencing at the start on turn one as you were describing it. So when you watch the broadcast later, you'll get a kick out of that. And yeah, there was an upside down car on top of you, and good thing these F4 cars have that halo, or you might have had quite a headache from that. But yeah, you kept it clean for 20 minutes and got up on the podium. So excellent drive, and congratulations on that. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to shout out or give a thanks to?
Two people, Jay Ryan and Jimmy Zai, my biggest inspirations for all this. So thank you guys, appreciate everything. Also Jason for being a little bit faster than me, but he's still slow.
All right, very good. And are you one of the drivers who is down at the SRG facility tonight driving?
No, I'm in LA in the comfort of my own home.
Los Angeles, comfort of your own home. All right, fair enough, man. Well, Lloyd, thank you so much for coming by and speaking with us, and hopefully we'll speak to you after your next podium here in Formula 4.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was Lloyd Conway, your P2 driver in the Inter 2 class. And I don't know, should I take another run at Igor? He kind of hurt my feelings before. Well, I'll go ahead and drop
ran
him
away
in
on us.
And Kenan, maybe he would be more willing to speak to you. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Igor, this is Kenan. No, I guess not.
Nope.
Maybe he doesn't like us.
That's
I think he may be. So I was doing a little information request, and I assume the reason Adam Thompson was glad to meet us is that is actually a co-worker of ours, a fellow broadcaster with the Slow Motion Broadcasting Network. I did not know that until about 3 minutes ago.
All right. Well, that is a hard no from Igor. So let's try Skylar Vicaroy. I can find him on the timing tower here, and I don't see him. Skylar, how's it going?
It's going well. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. I can't find you on the timing tower, though. Were you out there driving tonight?
Yeah, I was out there driving tonight. I finished, I think, in fourth.
Oh, there you are. Holy cow. Of course you did. P4, you moved up one from your qualifying position, and you were kind of trying to hang with the top couple guys, but that is a podium for Inner Aliens. That P4 is P3 in class. So congratulations on that. It's kind of late where I am, and I'm kind of old, so I didn't see your name there. But how did that race go for you? It was quite a fight up front.
Yeah. So unfortunately, in turn one, there was a bit of kerfuffle in the beginning, and there was a little bit of contact, and so I dropped down from the leaders and kind of went back to 10th or so, and I kind of made my way back through. But by the time I had gotten back through that, those guys were 6 seconds up, and it was like, yeah, without a draft partner and another maybe 30 minutes, we weren't going to make it there. So, still a pretty good race. We had a lot of battles coming up through, had a lot of fun. A little bummed that we lost the draft so early, because I think we would have been in the fight and had something for those boys up front.
Yeah, and it was quite a show. Really good race, and I know what you mean. Just a little bit of a problem, and you get that gap in front of you, and the train leaves without you, and then there's not a lot that you can do about that. But still, a very good drive to bounce back from that little contact in turn one. And congratulations again on the podium. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, no, definitely shout out to Jason for letting me in after about the halfway season. My buddy Josh, who's leading was it Inter 1 or 2 there championship. He's an old friend of mine, and he's like, why don't you come over and have some good times with us? So I was like, all right, cool. So support the series. And it's used to live in San Jose, but I moved up into Folsom area in California. So I was like, hey, kind of a little bit of a local support there. But definitely want to shout out my my race teams with GFG Crew and my Avovoom Gaming folks as well.
All right, very good. Well, again, congratulations on the great drive, and thanks for hanging around and chatting with us today. And hopefully, we'll another podium next week and come back and talk to us about that.
Yep, sounds like a plan. Take care, fellas.
Excellent. Thank you, Skylar. All right. So we had quite a crowd in the green room today, and that is going to wrap up the interview. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is coming up on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And We've got some of the old familiar stuff, and we have some exciting special events coming up, and you'll want to subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Go ahead, do it now. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification icon so that you don't miss any of the action. But what we have is, and I do know this, tomorrow night is our first oval round of the IndyCar series presented by XMS. That will take place at a little place called Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Then Saturday, Weekend Warrior Formula V's will be at Road Atlanta. And on Sunday, Almeida Racing Academy kicks off their sponsorship of the second half of Weekend Warriors Formula Ford at Silverstone. Alliance Autosport will do the same, bringing you Weekend Warriors SRF action from Hungaroring, and the XSLR first round of the 87 NASCAR ovals will be at Charlotte. So busy weekend on SMB. If it's raining outside, you hunker down in front of the TV and watch some of the best racing on YouTube. And our special events coming up this summer on July 3rd, the USRA 160 lap ARCA event will take place. There are cash prizes involved in that. We're also putting together a 3-hour enduro. It's going to take place on July 26th. We are still ironing out the classes, but you GT3 bros are not going to be left out. If you're a GT3 driver, want to get involved in an enduro here on Slow Motion Broadcasting with cash prizes, go ahead and keep an eye on SMB. And as I said, subscribe and notify so you don't miss any of the action here. And there will be, again, a cash payout on that enduro. So holy cow, what a race today, Kenan. And that is going to wrap it up for us today. On behalf of myself, my partner, Kenan Miller, our producer, Josh Wilkie, and everyone here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your night wherever you are. And hang on, baby. The weekend's coming.